In superhero movies, it's common to see a single man saving all of humanity. But in real life, we know that could never happen, right? Except for one time. Decades ago, an unknown man saved the world from a nuclear apocalypse, and for a moment, the world was on the brink of chaos. A programming error and a misunderstanding almost led to the extinction of humanity. It was at the height of the Cold War. The United States and the Soviet Union lived in constant tension, with nuclear weapons ready to be launched. The world could enter a devastating nuclear war at any moment. The possibility of a conflict that could result in the mass annihilation of life was so great that it led to the creation of the Doomsday Clock, also known as the Midnight Clock. This clock is a metaphor imagined by a group of scientists and expresses how close humanity is to its end. As the nuclear war became more plausible, the hands of the Doomsday Clock changed position. One of the most dangerous episodes occurred on the cold night of September 25, 1983. Stanislav Petrov, a Soviet lieutenant colonel, was on duty in the command room of the Soviet air defense system. At that moment, his job was to monitor missile detection systems, which were capable of detecting if an enemy nuclear missile was coming towards the country. Shortly after midnight, the alarms suddenly sounded. The scenario feared by both powers appeared on the screens, something no one wanted to become a reality. According to the alert system, the United States had launched a nuclear attack with 5 guided missiles that would quickly fall on Soviet territory. The ballistic missiles, launched from American soil, would take just a few minutes to reach their destination, where millions of people would die under a nuclear attack worse than any other in history. But something didn't seem right to Petrov. He knew it was unlikely that the US would attack with just 5 missiles instead of a massive offensive. The lieutenant colonel was not convinced. Although he couldn't be sure he was right, he knew that once the decision was made, there was no turning back. And that if he made the wrong decision, there would be catastrophic consequences, either for the world or for himself. So Petrov, with the coolness of a Russian military man, made the most important decision of his life. He decided to go against his superior's orders and not activate the alarm system. With the decision made, there was only one thing left to do: wait for the missiles to hit Russian territory. Petrov later said that in those critical minutes, he had an intuition that probably saved the planet and all of humanity. He asked for a second opinion and waited. And then, the confirmation came. It was a false alarm. There was no missile launch, and a programming error had confused the system, showing a false alert. This small action by Petrov saved billions of lives. If he had followed protocol and given the order to initiate the counterattack, he could have triggered a chain response and led to a nuclear conflict of global proportions. On that dramatic night, a series of factors came together around the unique position of the Earth and its annual orbit around the Sun. It was the incident known as the autumn equinox, which was marked in history. The Soviet early warning system was composed of a network of satellites, which functioned as eyes scanning space for possible American missile attacks. To maintain a static observation position, these satellites moved in a specific orbit called Molniya, an astronomical alignment, and the reflection on clouds located at high altitudes were about to cause the end of humanity. Although the incident was avoided thanks to Stanislav Petrov's courageous decision, his heroic act was not immediately recognized by the Soviet government. In fact, Petrov did not receive any official commendation or award for his action, not even a recognition in his annual service report. This was because, at that time, the official policy of the Soviet Union was that the nuclear early warning system was infallible, and any indication to the contrary would be considered a betrayal or a system failure. In addition, Soviet authorities did not want the news of the incident to be released to avoid the public being alarmed at the possibility of an imminent nuclear attack. The incident only became known to the general public years later when the story was reported by a German journalist in 1998. Although Petrov was eventually recognized and honored for his bravery, he never received the attention and recognition he deserved. The lack of official recognition for such a remarkable act is a grim reminder of how political decisions can often overshadow courageous and noble individual actions. It was only years later that his story became public, and he began to be recognized as a true hero. But unfortunately, Petrov passed away in 2017 without receiving the recognition he deserved. If it weren't for Petrov, the world could have been destroyed in a nuclear holocaust.